chasing variety, if you know what I mean, which I can't say here on YouTube. Maybe we need to jump over a little bit earlier if we're going to be talking about this, because Rumble, I think, yeah, pretty much I know. I can show you all kinds of pictures here, so I'm going to save this stuff. But he just easily just walked into the building. It's called the Blackstone Building, right in Manhattan. Blackstone Building in Midtown Manhattan. He walked right in, carrying a gun, not even trying to hide it, and just walked right in. Yeah, absolutely insane. And of course, they're saying he's from that certain persuasion of tolerant people. Let's continue.
Here right now, give me like 30 seconds. Fox 5 News. Tune in to Fox 5 News. Also stay here, but you can watch both at the same time. Okay, so just give me a moment. Again, I'm Linda Schmidt, Fox 5 News. I'm here with Gus Batista. He's my cameraman. My colleague, Matt Onimus, who was on his way home from work, saw all of this happening. So he's been filling us in. Give us about 30 seconds and we'll be back with you live on air.
All right, so while she's checking her stuff or doing whatever she needs to do, I guess they're going to change position, and then once they change position, SV said he posted a picture for you guys to see it, so you guys can see the guy walking calmly down the street. This is going to be bad, especially it's going to be real bad for old Zohan there. Zohan, who doesn't want to have police, wants to defund the police, wants to do all that kind of crazy stuff. Can't have this in Manhattan, not in the biggest city in the country, possibly the world. No, it's not the world, but this is really bad. Really, really bad. So she's changing positions at this point, so I'll keep you abreast as to what's going on. She's standing in the street, and we got some stuff with some cops here. Hold on.
Our thoughts and prayers to everyone involved, especially our first responders. But I've got to tell you, Mike, New York City is no stranger to these active shooter events, and they train quarterly for this. So, the men and women of the NYPD are ready for this, because we see with the huge presence that they have around this building on the corridor. And, they're just now going through the process of locating witnesses and making sure that scene is secure for crime scene.
And let's talk about what is it like when you are looking for a suspect in a downtown setting with, you have the big buildings there. It's just past 7 o'clock in New York. And what goes into that type of effort when you have
officers that are trained with the long guns, emergency service unit. You've got bomb squad out of here.
From Fox 5 in New York, let's listen. Right.
They heard no shots. They just saw mass pandemonium.
So they just saw ultimate chaos. And again, I don't know if you're seeing this shot of police slowly moving around this vehicle with its flashers on, both doors open now. They seem to be looking in this vehicle, closely examining it. I don't know if they're looking for any kind of explosive devices in this vehicle, but it sure looks like it has something to do with what went down in late in the afternoon, early evening in Midtown Manhattan.
Yes, my guess, if you would ask me, my first knee-jerk reaction, way early, but there are so many motives, so many different corporations, both the monetary that deal in high finance and the NFL. First thought is disgruntled employee, maybe someone that felt they were slighted in some way. It was thought out, and they probably ended up with the thought mindset in their head that they were going to take themselves out anyway.
If that photo is accurate, he seemed pretty casual about walking across that plaza. If that's indeed the individual, it's now in 6 or 7 major media outlets. If that's the individual, he knew he was going to be killed and kill himself, or someone would kill him, and he was just going about his business, and he was going to do it. It's unbelievable to watch that.
It's amazing, because part of my career on television for some of the networks were to do these things in plain sight. You know, I would walk with a blue gun, you know, a fake gun, and no one would notice. It's your body language. As long as you act normal, people are so into their not so smartphones.
Yeah.
They're not observant. They don't have, you know, critical thinking skills. And if you walk with authority and just blend in, it is amazing what you could pass through, what people don't notice.
Yeah, the local Fox in New York reported a short while ago that at least 6 people were injured. We have other reports saying that 2 were shot inside the building, 1 dead, and the gunman dead. But again, there are so many individuals who could be hiding in that building. What we know and what we don't know yet. I mean, I think it's the known unknowns again in a situation like this until we actually get more information from NYPD. Now they're wrapping a string around this. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if you can look at this video, but they have like a string that's going from the back of the car to the front of the car, some kind of cord. And I guess it's maybe some type of camera to look at what's underneath the vehicle. But it looks like kind of a high-end sedan to me. It doesn't look like any, you know, jalopy type vehicle.
You and I are on the same page. That was my thought when I was thinking disgruntled employee, someone that felt they were slighted. That's what triggered it for me, looking at the high-end sedan. It's not like it's an old van, pickup truck. It doesn't seem, again, early, we're all getting this at the same time. It doesn't seem terrorist-related. You know, that's not the profile, driving a high-end sedan, single person getting out like that. It would have been a different MO.
NYPD high source is telling us it's 41st floor. Sources say that it's locked in the whole floor, and they're not letting anyone out of the 41st floor right now. So imagine being one of those people inside that floor right now. They're on their internet. They're looking at what happened in the building, and you know, again, we go back to 9/11 where people were trapped on floors and not knowing what the best course of action. But apparently, the 31st floor is the same thing. They're just not letting anyone leave.
Well, maybe that's where he worked. Maybe that's where he may have been employed, or maybe there was something sent to that particular floor. You know, once they make a positive ID on the assailant, the perpetrator, they're going to be right in his social media, seeing if there's any manifesto, any last words, or if he already sent it.
And we were going to do I wanted us to do an update.
That's exactly the intention, Mo Ron. We wanted these people not to be here, and now it's telling you something very, very interesting. You've seen the pictures of the lack of traffic in Los Angeles. You've seen all that. So now it's making sense. Was Los Angeles merely populated with an overabundance of newcomers? If you're going to go out there and you're going to make a man on the street video, and the topic you want to talk about is that President Trump has made the businesses suffer because there's no foot traffic, then you're pretty much telling the world and every single American with a functioning frontal lobe that it's been inundated with newcomers, which also means President Trump's doing the right thing.
Customers too afraid to come out and shop, too afraid to come out and eat. Like it's a chispa de oro here in Boyle Heights. So for folks who are wondering what they can do to push back, what they can do to counter this Trump crackdown, you can.
What do you mean push back? You can't push back. You're not supposed to be here. Here's the pushback. Take the $1,000 and get out. There is no pushback. There is no way for you to push back against ICE and the Border Patrol. At this point, you're in trouble. If you're scared to stay in your house, what kind of life is that? What kind of life is that for you to live if you're afraid to go outside? Do you think it's going to stop? It's not going to stop. It's only going to intensify. And if they see people like Mr. Padilla just said, that there's a whole bunch of people that are afraid to go outside, then I would park a whole bunch of ICE trucks there. You just told me they live there, they're newcomers, they're not supposed to be here, and they're afraid to go outside. So you just told us where they all are. I would make sure I have people walking up and down the street and making my presence felt. Thank you, Senator Padilla.
Part this with your wallet. Come support a small business, an immigrant-owned business in these diverse communities as part of our pushback.
Doing business in a diverse community as part of the pushback. Notice he didn't define what the hell is a pushback. How are you going to push back with people who have committed crimes, and the crime is you're not supposed to be here? I don't think these people are thinking. I think Trump broke them. I think he completely broke them. They've got nothing left, and so now they're out there making campaign videos for the GOP.
You have a message.
This is a surprising one to me, given everything that's going on in Russia, what happened in Iran, what happened in Gaza. But the bottom line is Democrats in the American voters' minds cannot hack it. What are we talking about? Party trust tomorrow in foreign policy. Well, the GOP holds an average 6-point lead in the month of July. Look at this. Fox News came out last week, plus 3 points for Republicans on foreign policy over the Democrats. You think that number is not high enough for you? How about the Wall Street Journal? GOP plus 8 points when they match congressional Democrats up against congressional Republicans. The bottom line is this. Despite everything that's going on in the world right now, Republicans are more trusted on Democrats when it comes to foreign policy and the world at large.
So the Corps about to make armed entry. You can come to the door. We've got an eviction here today. Eviction. Yeah, we got an eviction scheduled here today.
I was dead. I didn't get it.
You didn't go to court on this?
Yeah, we went to court and I paid them at court.
You paid them at court?
At court.
Okay. Well, this right here, I'm going to give you a copy of it. I want me to misunderstand. This is from the court, the same court you talking about you went to. How many people in here?
This is two. Let me call them real quick.
Go ahead and call them. I had to come on in and start taking pictures.
Damn that. Wait a minute, come on.
Who you calling? Your house is in good order.
Right.
Normally that's a sign that it... Hey, what's up, man?
That's what I'm saying. I can even show you.
So are you saying you paid in full?
Yeah, I paid in full. The only thing, it really wouldn't.
Because I don't think they'll be doing the eviction. You just paid in full in there.
So it was really no reason for them to send me to court in the first place. Then when we get to court, it's like, oh, well, he's just behind just this month. I was like, yeah, Judge, and I just paid it while I was sitting over there. So then they said something about some late fees a couple of weeks ago. I was like, late fees. Here it is right here. Not late fees. Legal fees. Legal fees.
Okay, now have you received any kind of notice from the office? Did they tell you that this was coming?
No, sir. At all. Period.
Because
this is
my understanding
on my portal right here. Legal fees.
Okay, but I had spoken with the property manager because I had to schedule these. And so she said that she had notified you that you were scheduled for eviction.
Why would I do? I mean, look around. It's like I'm about to get evicted. I mean, I own it down the street.
Oh, do you?
Yes, sir. Right home. Well, if this wide is going on, I can pay this right now, but nobody knows.
Well, at this point, here's the thing as far as me. I don't have any kind of discretion. There's nothing I can do. The only thing I can do is...
I'm trying to call her now, because if this the problem, I was going to send that to her when I sent my rent.
Right. Well, that's what I would advise, because we're going to have to move forward now. Now, what I advise you do is to work on both things. Work on calling her, trying to stop it. At the same time, you may need to start trying to make arrangements, because we're going to start moving. So if you don't get it stopped, you'll need to get a U-Haul or something, make arrangements for it the next, because there's a good chance you're not going to be able to get it stopped.
Well, I can pay this now. That's what I was trying to do.
But as I'm saying, go ahead. On my end, if it gets paid, then I'll be notified that I need to stop. But until that time, I have to keep going. That's what I'm saying. So that's what I'm saying. You have to plan for both. You have to say, well, I'm going to try to stop it. However, let me go ahead and see if I can.
I'm going to pay it right here. If I had known that.
I'm surprised because it's not like her. Normally, she's going to let the tenant know, what's going on, give you the opportunity to go ahead and move before I get here. Because it's easy on everybody all the way around. If you go ahead and move, it saves them the time and expense of paying for the eviction.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, if I had known that, I either would have paid the money or I would have moved.
Right.
Now, she called me about was the legal fees, and what she was sending me was, so here's our conversation right here. So she was sending me this. That's in the lease, which I don't even have a lease. This is an old lease. For one. And she told me about the court. I said, well, the judge told me I didn't have to come back to court if I paid. She's like, yeah, but you should have came back. I said, but I asked her, did I have to come back? And she said, well, we went back to court and there was some legal fees. And I was like, legal fees? But
you always got to go back to court. You don't never.
The judge told me I didn't have to come back.
Well, what the judge may have been meaning was this is what the judge probably was meaning. Now, I'm just guessing.
Right.
Okay, if it's up to the property management to make arrangements.
Right.
So once you have a judgment against you, once you're in default, just think about a contract. Once you're in default on that contract, then the owner, yes, they can make arrangements, and if they agree to them, I don't have it. I see what you're saying.
Now I'm trying to get her on the phone.
Yeah, you need to get her on the phone.
That's what I'm saying. That could have been, if she would have just called me and let me know, I could have been done that.
Right.
That's what problem that I don't understand. Now, a situation like this now.
Hi.
Yes, sir.
DoorDash?
Yeah.
Have a good day.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna say this for last. You have somebody back here. Okay, so what we're gonna do to give you time to do what you're doing on the phone, I saw what you just did. So to give you time to do that, we're gonna start up here in the front because I can't stop. I can't wait. If I could just sit here and wait, I would, but I can't.
I don't have invitation that I'm supposed to be evicted or anything.
Yeah, well, the way it works is there's no other new notice unless the property manager notifies you.
She didn't even tell me about any business.
Well, but what I'm saying is, once it goes to court, the judge should tell you that the judgment is against you. You have 10 days. They can issue this writ in 10 days.
So this says she needed a written copy. That's when somebody broke in and stole stuff in here. So it was there's a court order in the order for 1785. So I owe $935 for February. So eviction was filed 2/2 for non-payment of January rent and being debt. It is filed in February. Also here February rent attached. The correct amount will be given in court. I said, okay, I paid January. I'll drop February off for the next day or so. And then we went to court. Good evening. I can email the police report. It's like, what's the email? I sent, thank you, got it. Thanks, good afternoon. The judge didn't give me any attorney fees in court, and I was never behind to even be in court to begin with. What's the 7/11/54? So I wasn't giving any extra fees in court, and my rent is paid. So you did not show up for court when she reset it for March 8th. So still collect the legal fees that are in your lease that you are to pay if eviction is filed. I collect attorney fees, court costs, and all costs that I owe to the filed an eviction this March 15th. Eviction was filed February 2nd for non-payment for January rent when you had court. Then you owed the rent February. The judge reset your case for March 8th. I do not discuss this. I do not dismiss evictions. It's like the judge said, only come back to court if I didn't pay, and told me to have a nice day. He said only February rent was due in court and I paid it in court. That's why she said me only come back if my payment didn't go through. So I was standing right there when she told me that. So you should have gone to court because she did tell you if it was all right with us. But she was standing there.
Well, let me tell you this right here now. She's doing a lot of communication with you now.
Right, and then one of these said that, that I was getting evicted. This was March, what's today? This is March 15th.
Right.
And I asked her to send me a copy of my lease, which is outdated. They haven't sent me a new lease at all.
That's a copy. Yeah, that's the FED there.
Right. This the part of the lease.
No, that's the FED that was posted for the eviction.
Right. This is what I went to court for.
Right.
And I went to court. I showed her for court. So that's the lease she was sending me right there. Paid. I sent the receipt.
What was the last thing she said? I want to see what's the last thing that she said.
This was the last thing she said. Court was March 8th. If you have any questions, you can call the attorney's office. And I said, can you email me a copy of my lease agreement, please? I said, thank you. That's the last thing she said. There was nothing said.
Well, I mean,
or anything.
I don't work for the locksmith. Hey, you got a dog or anything in the garage I need to worry about? I'm gonna change locks outside there. Is the garage door this way?
No, it's just a back door, right?
Where is it at?
Right in the kitchen.
Alright.
Somebody kicked that in when they was trying to break in the last time. But yeah, it's absolutely nothing in here that's saying that I'm getting evicted.
It's implied because it's saying that you've been to court for the eviction.
Right.
You know, think about it now. You've been to court with the FED. You've been to court for the eviction over the money. So it's like if the money's not paid, you're going to be evicted. So it's definitely
the money was paid. The only thing that wasn't paid was the legal fees. So what I just showed you.
Right.
And that was, she just told me that on the 15th.
Well, here's what I wish all property managers would do. Now, I'm not in their business. They do what they want to do. But what happens sometimes is, to keep it clear, they say, well, you owe attorney fees.
Right.
What I wish they would do would just subtract whatever you pay and take the late fees first.
Right.
Then they can say you still owe me $200 in rent. Then people understand that to me better, because then they say, well, I paid you say $1,000. Well, $200 went toward attorney fee, so you only pay $800 on the rent, and you still owe $200. But what ends up happening, just for clarity, if you pay say your rent is $1,000, you pay $1,000, they'll take it off the rent, but then them late fees are still sitting there.
Yeah,
and people
I don't owe any rent though.
Right, because you owe the late fees.
No, that's the late fees for the attorney fees, not the
the attorney fees.
Yeah,
okay.
that's what I was saying.
But what I'm saying is, if when the
legal
the
fees
money you pay,
see, look, it's not even. I get this the whole quarter from what I owe, and it's just legal fees. It's not rent. My rent is paid completely.
Well, but see, you missing the point I'm trying to make, because you keep thinking about the rent is paid, when in fact, when you made that first payment, you was paying on the attorney fees, so your rent is not paid.
No. I paid.
We have victims and suspects identified, and we have charged 5 people in this offense.
And the only way to destroy that street violence is to take the thugs who engage in that violence and throw their ass in prison.
It's racial. This is black people feeling offended by white people, and they're taking their anger and frustration out on them because they're white. I saw it going around the internet over the weekend, and obviously I'm still on vacation trying to be, and so I didn't want to comment on it till today, which is Monday, a working day for me. And so I just had to throw it out there, man. Can I say the quiet thing out loud? Can I say the quiet thing out loud? Why do we not see the reverse of these incidents? Somebody may argue, well, I don't know, 50, 60 years ago, 70 years ago, maybe there was a reverse. But in my entire lifetime, I have not seen the reverse of this type of behavior. It's not one time have I seen white people beat up black people like this. I mean, I get it, bro. I haven't seen the full video, and I'm not gonna say who started it, but what I can see is who was way more aggressive and who would probably go to jail for the way they acted.
At this time, we have victims and suspects identified, and we have charged 5 people in this offense. I'm not going to release that information to you. I will say, if individuals were down there and participated in this event, it would be in their best interest to come turn themselves in at one of our police districts. We have 5 we have charged and anticipate more.
Let me be clear. Anyone who put their hands on another individual during this incident in an attempt to cause harm will face consequences. I don't care which side of the incident or the fight they were on. If they place their hands on somebody in an attempt to cause harm, that is unacceptable. This is still an open investigation, and all potential charges are being investigated for everyone involved. All investigative tools and techniques are on the table, including, were some of these individuals overserved at some local establishments? It is clear to us that alcohol played a significant part in this incident. I want to thank every citizen who has come forward and provided us with information. Some of those tips have led to the charges being signed. However, for us to have 100 or so people down there involved in and or watching this event, recording with their cell phones, and for us to get only one phone call of this incident is unacceptable in this city. One person did the right thing and called 911.
If a person instigates an argument or a fight, once the person is down on the ground and they're no longer a threat, you have to stop kicking and stomping and beating them, or now you are putting yourself in a position to be the aggressor and now getting charged. Now you go and sucker punch a woman who apparently looked like she was just trying to break a fight. She didn't, it was no indication, and I watched the whole video, no indication that she punched anybody, no indication that she hit anybody. And even if she said something, that don't necessitate a guy from the left corner coming up and just sucker punching her. And this is how people lose their whole life to the prison system, is that sucker punching people and they fall and bang their head on concrete and die when it was clearly not a provocation of a person standing to the left that's not engaged in the conflict. You will be charged with murder. So let's look at some video footage, because obviously if you don't know about the situation that happened in Cincinnati, Ohio, after a particular event, I think it was the Cincinnati Music Fest. Watch the video and you tell me if you see the same thing I see. Roll the film.
Yeah! 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 Help her up! Whoa!
So you can see, like I said, there doesn't seem to be a provocation. There doesn't seem to be the guy that punched her was involved in this situation. And I want y'all to riddle me this. Are you telling me that the two white people are together, which it doesn't necessarily look like they are, maybe they are, and you telling me every single black person that's out there that's engaging in this conflict are all together in one group? Or do we see a mob rule of black versus white? They knocked the white guy out and all the black people jumping in. I'm just telling you guys, and I'm gonna play the clip of the guy getting beat up next. But if we saw this happen to black people, I think the world would catch on fire. If two black dudes were at a country music concert, which you would never see happen because it's a cultural thing, let's keep it real. Two black dudes, or a black dude and a black woman is at a country music concert, and a white dude just sucker punches a black woman and knock her on the ground and she's out cold, and they kicking and stomping and beating on a black man. we would not hear the end of it. The question you need to ask yourself is why? Now let's watch the video of them beating up the man. Roll the clip. You can't tell me that's not excessive. There's rumors that there could have been racial terms thrown around or whatever the case may be. But listen, let me just put some perspective on this for you young black people. It is not a justification to beat a person unconscious and even kill them because they uttered a word that offended you by your own decision making. I mean, your choice to be defended or offended. If a person says the N-word to me, it is up to me whether or not I want to feel offended by a ignorant person that I don't know saying something ignorant to me. Now, if I choose to be offended, that doesn't give you the right to beat a guy and beat him till he dies. Any one of those kids could have killed that guy. I don't know if people think that they're exempt because a white person say the N-word, they're just exempt of all laws and they can just beat a man to death and everybody can start kicking and jumping on him and no consequences whatsoever. What are we even thinking? And I just want to encourage black folks and people of color, do not let a word cause you to lose your freedom. It's just a word. And to be honest, why do you give power to an idiot who says the word? That's like a 3-year-old telling me that I'm stupid. It's like, well, he's a 3-year-old. Why do I get offended by a little child saying a term that they don't fully comprehend? Let alone an adult who's saying something to trigger you and that don't fully have the maturity to not say something stupid like that to a person, or they want to trigger you and you falling for the bait. Wouldn't you? And I don't mean to make the comparison because the 3-year-old ain't stupid. I'm just saying the 3-year-old's, the magnitude of what a 3-year-old says to you shouldn't offend you because it's a 3-year-old. Same thing with somebody that's willing to call me the N-word. It's like, yeah, you're not even in the realm of like reasonable people. Like, why would I even listen to you? It's like me trying to listen to you for financial advice and you're poor with no credit. And you've never owned anything and you're eating out of a trash can and you're gonna tell me financial advice. And if you told me I was dumb because I don't know what I'm doing with my money, I wouldn't even give you any credence because you clearly aren't worth the words that come out your mouth. Let's play the clip of them knocking out a woman, random. Roll the clip.
Sleeping again. Ooh, 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 ooh. I got that too. Ooh, damn. He shouldn't be outside. That was.
Nobody can say that this stuff is justified, and nobody can say that this stuff is warranted. I mean, it wasn't a woman. I'm sorry, it wasn't a woman. It was a man that they hit and knocked out. But nobody can tell me that this is warranted. If you squaring up on somebody and y'all going blow to blow, that's different. You catching a person over here and you run up and sucker punch them like this. You can't tell me that you are in any danger and that you are actually trying to save the life of somebody else or preventing violence against somebody else when the guy is looking this way, walking and talking, and you come up and sucker punch him in the head. And I'm gonna tell you this, and this is what I should have said from the very beginning, but it's racial. It's racial. This is white, this is black people feeling offended by white people, and they're taking their anger and frustration out on them because they're white. That's just my personal opinion. And the sad part is, I've seen them do this to black people as well. But in this unique situation, I think the reason they jumped on them is because they were white. But if you move past that point, you say you would never see a video in modern American society in the last 50 years where you see black people getting jumped on and beat up at an event like this. Mass amounts of black people white people just stomping and beating up black people. I have never seen a video. I have never in my life, and I've been doing YouTube for probably about 5 years now. I have never in my life seen a video where white people are beating up black people like that. Kicking, stomping, sucker punching. I've never seen it. Can you explain? And the reason I say 6 years, because I've done I think I've probably done 3,000 videos. I'm on the internet almost 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, every single day for 6 years. And I have never come across a video where white people are doing this. I just got to say this, man. Black people, y'all need to do better, man. This ain't no flex. This ain't cool. It's only cool in the hood. It's only cool amongst your homeboys. But in the criminal justice system, this ain't cool. You go to prison for life doing stuff like this. And in the real world, where there's other people who live peacefully and want to abide by the law, and you guys look completely animalistic in your behavior. And it needs to stop. Comment in the comment section if you agree with me. You don't have to.
Thing that I hadn't already gotten a chance to go through at great length. Yeah. See, this is a misnomer. What's going on is these assassination files are not just freshly released. They were released pursuant to a 1989 and 1990 series of laws passed by Congress, signed off on by President George Herbert Walker Bush, a Republican, and William Clinton, a Democrat, and reinforced by Clinton and Bush after Bush signed the act that requires all government entities to forward all evidence, letters, documentation, correspondence, etc., witness statements, etc., that dealt with any of the assassination attempts from John F. Kennedy. Actually, they even have some stuff in there on some attempts on Harry Truman's life back 70 years ago. So that's all in there. They have some in there about a couple of assassination attempts against Roosevelt back in the 30s. So all of that's in there, and they have stuff on the assassination, the assassination of McKinley, the attempted assassination of Teddy Roosevelt, all sorts of things in there.
Well, it says here, MLK files CIA surveil MLK's hotel room and dug through his trash. CIA records reveal agents spied on MLK and Bernard Lee from a hotel room next door during a 1966 stay in Miami. They watched who came and went, listened through the walls, noted sex experiences, and after checkout, rummaged through wastebaskets and dressers, collecting phone numbers and personal notes. One surveillance read Dr. King Hotel, call operator, Communist Party. In 1976, the CIA memo reveals agency identified 82 documents about Dr. King, Coretta Scott King, and James L. Ray, but says 66 of them were destroyed in 74 and 2 were lost. The surviving 14 include FBI reports on Coretta, the SCLC fundraising, King's speeches, and even assassination rumors, plus documents on King's European travel and alleged communist infiltration of the civil rights groups. The CIA claimed it never helped the FBI to mount or carry out any operations to discredit him, while admitting they tracked this all in detail.
I've seen a lot of those documents, and what they're describing was sort of a ubiquitous practice against everybody from community-based militants all the way up to some of the more prominent people, Malcolm X, H. Rap Brown, Stokely Carmichael, that kind of thing. So that was par for the course, and some of us used to amuse ourselves by requesting copies of what they had come up with and dossiers on ourselves through the Freedom of Information Act. Some of them are quite fascinating, but that's nothing new. The FBI spent a lot of time on that instead of dealing with organized crime or other things along that line of inquiry.
You were the last sitting judge on the James L. Ray case.
That's right. And if it had gone to the conclusion, as indicated, I got removed 3 or 4 times and put back on. There was another case that had similar issues that wound up getting approved by our state Supreme Court, which is the likely outcome of this. But Ray and his local associated counsel, a guy named Wayne Chastain, died within 2 days of each other, so that made the whole thing moot. But I would have found Ray was not the gunman. In fact, the gunman, it's not 1, but 2, they were recruited by the FBI from most likely the Marine Sniper School in Quantico, Virginia, which, as I put it, was just a walk across the tarmac from where the FBI had a training facility. They supplied the weapons, which were 2 of approximate 5 of approximately 62 XM21s, which were experimental modifications to the standard M14 to make semi-auto sniper rifles out of them. 2-man hit team fired the shot from the fire station, not the flop house, nor the bushes, which are righted ones over the other. The window for the flop house bathroom was stuck shut, couldn't have been opened. The shot couldn't have been fired from that. Anybody that was hanging around in the bushes would have been seen from Main Street, literally, that's the name of the street, for several hours before the shooting, which isn't likely to happen. So they supplied the ammunition. There were 5 serial numbered weapons that the FBI got on invoice in late December 1967, after the shooting, early April 1968. The FBI was ordered to return the 5 weapons to the Defense Department. There was an inventory conducted, and the FBI claims they lost one of these experimental sniper rifles in 4 months since they got them.
Interesting.
Believe that.
Well, I was wondering, but now that they released the unclassified documents of MLK, do you think that
they haven't been classified for 35 years? The problem is that they were in a repository on 14th Street in downtown DC, and if you wanted them, you had to go in and make a specific copy for them, pay your fee, and you'd get a certified copy.
Oh, okay.
These are just released to the general public without having to go through that process. There's some interesting stuff in there, too. Particularly, I would address anybody who's interested to the correspondence between Assistant U.S. Attorney Stephen Trott, eventually a federal judge, now late person, and look at the correspondence between him, Assistant U.S. Attorney Trott, and the lawyers for organized crime figure Billy Saul Estes, who was promised a commutation of his sentence if the information panned out. But unfortunately, they assigned the investigatory process to the FBI, who covered their own tracks and simply sent back a terse memorandum saying there's absolutely nothing to this. But it turned out in my conferences with some of the retired detectives from the Dallas Police Department who were involved in the original assassination, there was a whole lot to it that answered some questions that they had had for years.
Do you think that these documents are going to have details of MLK's infidelity sex life?
There's a tape Reel to Reel tape series that I've listened to. It has a lot to do with a lot of things about those kind of things, but I'm not going to get into it. They're salacious.
So do you think that if we go to the website to read these documents, I'm pretty sure that's documented in here?
What you'd be listening to is reading, would be transcripts of some tape recordings, but that's salacious. It has nothing to do with anything. Somebody's sex life is their business unless it impugns on national security or some other situation, compromises an investigation or what have it. But that's the American public. Too much of it is
the Americans want salacious.
In other words, but you see, there's been a transition. That kind of stuff used to be on the last page of the last section of a newspaper, on literally the last column. Whether you read the New York Times, LA Times, Chicago Tribune, San Francisco Picayune, it made no difference. And it was reserved for people of what were deemed low character to get into. But the soap operas and tabloid journalism over the last 50-some years have been very conducive to altering the mindset of the American public. And there have been 50 years worth of encouragement of ignorance and glorifying dysfunction. So now the public assumes these things are legitimate. It's what you and I sometimes bat heads over when I say I don't want to get into it, because it's part of what the mainstream media has spent a half century doing, conditioning the American public to thinking that these things have some important bearing on what they're doing other than satisfying a morbid curiosity. They have absolutely nothing to do with your day-to-day life. They reflect an unhealthy attitude about things, and that's what we've been encouraged to think like. So it's unhealthy.
So what should the American people, take from this? What should they read it for? What purpose? Or what should they be looking for? Like, what should they get out of it?
There are thousands of documents. The files, the stacked 5 and 6 file boxes deep, about 10, 15 feet long and about 6 feet high and about 5 feet wide. It's a lot of material in that. So it depends on how academic you want to be and how inquisitive you are about things that need to be brought to light. And I doubt that the American mainstream media is going to get into it because it doesn't match their narrative. I mean, some of what's in those files that I have seen are memoranda widely circulated in the FBI discussing the merits of assassinating King. And the main debate was whether he'd be more dangerous as a live agitator who would galvanize the anti-war movement like he did civil rights and revitalize labor, or as a dead martyr. See, they didn't care about civil rights because civil rights had been basically superseded by the militancy of the Black, Asian, Hispanic, and white communities, the last in reaction to the Vietnam War, which was very unpopular. And feminism had kicked in, and there was this assault on masculinity that was causing all kinds of drama. So yes.
So no, it seemed like, whether it's Black Americans or Americans, period, have been waiting forever to know what really happened with the civil rights movement and MLK and the CIA and the FBI and his assassination. Now you could go read it. Are you interested?
Well, you're not going to just read it because these conclusions aren't there. You still have to dot the I's and cross the T's and connect the dots and draw the lines, because it's not going to spell it out, but it's there very plainly. And it's not about who was being traitorous, because the real traitor, I very seldom hear his name mentioned, and he basically goes unscathed, and people are blaming Reverend Jesse Jackson, who was not the traitor by any stretch of the imagination. And some of the people that are being lauded were the traitors. And I think one of the reasons that came about is so that we could get people, and he wasn't involved in this because he was entirely too young, is people like Chicken George Sharpton, Al. And they were setting the stage for stuff like that being the leadership, and Cory Booker's and Hopkins and such like, and Jasmine Rockets and Maxine Waters. They were setting the stage for this type to be perceived as American leaders. So the FBI was also engaged in a concurrent program to discredit what they thought was effective black leadership. In other words, those black leaders or influencers who might have actually made a difference. And they were focused on getting people in front of the minority communities who would make no difference or in effect be counterproductive to support.
That's a great point, because they're not infiltrating nothing now because they're not real leaders, and maybe the FBI and the CIA know that. When you look at, like you said, when you look at the Hakeems, the Crockett's, Cory Booker, BLM, the Al Sharptons, we don't got to infiltrate them. We don't got to bug them, because we already know that they're already paid and bought for it. They're not even representing the Black Americans too, whereas the Malcolm X, MLK, Black Panther, and others, oh no, that has to stop. So
yeah, I'll give you an example. First degree murder in some states can carry the death penalty. Do we need more first degree murder statutes? Answer, no, we don't, because we have a bookload of them that work real well. So what's going on is we have all the laws we need. We don't need any more. So what's the purpose of old time civil rights, which was to get the laws passed? We've had those laws in place since the late 1960s. The problem is the black leadership that was supposed to be the driving engine to make sure those laws got applied became involved in self-aggrandizement, corruption, criminality, and egotism. And what we have is not effective leadership. We've got people who want our votes so they can be put in position to corrupt the system and get rich. We had a judge removed in Georgia. We see this with Tish James in New York, where it turns out that her own dealings in terms of real estate much mirror what she was accusing President Trump of. We see this kind of thing. So we see Al Sharpton, who makes a nice, comfortable living trying to undercut the efforts of the black community to get somewhere. By the way, a classic example of what the press has done is to reverse the roles that W.E.B. Du Bois had in the late 1960s with that of Booker T. Washington. We fairly well hated Booker T. Washington in the late 60s, and we lauded W.E.B. Du Bois, but the propaganda has flipped the script on that. And to give you an idea of what W.E.B. Du Bois was about, was we thought he was an early edition of a Malcolm X, okay? We put him in the same category of persons as we did Frederick Douglass. We had, on the other hand, we had Booker T. Washington, and the way we would describe Booker T. Washington is just imagine if in 40, 50 years, they made Al Sharpton a hero as a great black leader. You have to take into context that just about every southern state had a whole slew of schools named after Booker T. Washington. Every southern city has a Booker T. Washington high school. Booker T. Washington used to get frequent invitations to the White House from various and sundry racist American presidents. And he went because he was a good Negro who destroyed all of the young Negroes coming up who were trying to make a difference. That was his reputation.
But wasn't he trying? He was making a difference as well. And
he wasn't making, in my opinion, not one damn bit of difference. That man was dangerous. He destroyed hundreds of young black people who would have been great leaders for the cause.
Now, okay, you did say your opinion, because there are a whole bunch of other people that
you find somebody 75, you find somebody 75 years old who was active in the movement back in the late 60s who admires Booker T. Washington. You might find one or two.
No, I know. I said my generation, younger people, they admired Booker T. Washington and you know what he has done. He
hasn't done shit. And what he did was he was like Al Sharpton. He was like this bunch of clowns. He didn't help any damn thing. They gave him a rep while he was assisting everybody on snitching. He was like Ron Everett, a.k.a. Ron Karenga. He got where he was because he was a snitch undercutting people. It's the US organization that killed Bunchy Carter and John Huggins at UCLA's Campbell Hall in the 60s. It is the US organization that killed off a lot of black leadership in Los Angeles and the West Coast. It's them that started this thing of Kwanzaa, set up in Leimert Park for the first meeting in 1966 to set up something where black people would start talking and they could inform to the FBI and the SIS unit of the Los Angeles Police Department.
So basically,
what it was all about. Now we have Kwanzaa.
So basically,
making him the hero when he is the villain.
I see what you're saying. So basically, Booker T. Washington was a snitch, and the reason why he achieved all these accolades with the Tuskegee and you know all this stuff is because he cooperated with whether it's the White House, the FBI, and suppressed other potential black leaders.
Yeah.
He probably talked about W.B. Du Bois in a negative way to slow him down for what he was trying to achieve. So no one wasn't investing Booker T because he was working for the white man.
Yeah, like what in the world? One of the most racist clowns in the 20th century to occupy the White House was Woodrow Wilson. He signed the executive order that segregated Washington, D.C., officially segregated the U.S. Navy, which had been integrated up to that point on board ships. He was well supported, meaning Booker T, by President Woodrow Wilson. Theodore Roosevelt, who, to solve the problem that the Buffalo Soldiers had with the Texas Rangers killing a bunch of them, he just put 20 plus Buffalo Soldiers on a wall and had them executed. And didn't even, Theodore Roosevelt, Teddy Roosevelt, we named the teddy bear after Franklin Delano Roosevelt's favorite uncle. And that clown was a staunch Booker T. Washington supporter. I mean, you name it, for people who were bad for black folk.
So Booker T was the house nigga.
The house nigga. That's what we called him. He was an embarrassment to the militant black community in the late 60s. He was
Garvey.
Garvey was doing stuff on a pragmatic basis, trying to.
Garvey was talking shit about W.B. Du Bois, and he said he didn't trust light-skinned people.
Yeah.
And Garvey came here under the recommendation of Booker T.
Yeah, I know. So there was that.
And he was a scammer too.
That was that war. The difference is that W.E.B. Du Bois said something that offended everybody on the Booker T side, He said the problem of the 20th century will be the color line all around the world. The solution to that is for the talented 10th to bootstrap itself and its people up. Booker T. Washington was trying to destroy that so there would be no talented 10th to bootstrap anybody up. Marcus Garvey got caught in the middle and was unaware of the background and circumstances, and he was trying to be a businessman and a shipping magnate. And Booker T. Washington said this kind of Negro over here who's just trying to devote this to business and things like that, where there was a vacuum, he wasn't impacting anybody white negatively. He was somebody to emulate because Washington was talking about wherever you are, pick up the pail, pick up the mop, and do the best you can at the menial jobs you're given. And maybe white folk will be grateful and your grandchildren will get an advantage because they will show their gratitude to us if you do what they want us to do.
So he was training and making Black Americans subservient.
That's right. See, there's a lot of talk these days about Black people need to get into vocational skills. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. But I don't buy into it for a number of reasons. When I was in public school in Los Angeles, California in the 1950s, and I enrolled in junior high school, there was a course from the 7th through the 9th grade where all the minorities, Blacks, Hispanics, and Asians, we wound up getting sent to these junior high schools and high schools where it was mandatory that we take these vocational training classes, and they kept telling us over and over, you'll be happier working with your hands. You won't like the stress of using your brain, so we will guide you to using your hands where you can do a lot of good. Maybe your grandchildren will be in a position where they can get into these intellectual academic things. So I said, hell no. If I'd listened to what they were trying to do, I wouldn't be where I am right now. And see, we had teachers that fought against that, who white, black, brown, red, yellow said this is the wrong thing to do. Like, I know how to grow radishes and prune stuff, but what the hell? I'm no damn farmer. I know how to do woodwork, turn stuff on a lathe, weld, do sand casting, but that's not what I do for a living. I wanted to get into academia. And I helped set some stuff up with some teachers who thought that somebody like me and other folks similarly situated would be necessary to help out their communities. And we had a lot of Black veteran male teachers that got jobs as school teachers because it paid well back when. And they made sure that we got this leadership training. We got masculinity pounded into us. Our shoes were shined. Pants were pressed, shirts were washed and ironed, your hair was cut, you didn't act slovenly, your shirt was tucked in, your belt was neat, and if you got out of hand, you got the razor strap of the ping pong paddle.
Journal finds the Democratic Party's favorability rating is at its lowest point in 35 years. Just 33% of voters say they approve, and Republicans are trusted more on many key issues. CNN, it is stunned.
Oof. I mean, my God. You know, we mentioned CNN. We had that poll come out a little while ago on their net favorable rating. They were 26 points underwater. You think that's low enough? How about we go even lower? We'll go to this side of the screen. I'm going to walk over here. We go to the Wall Street Journal. Minus 30 points. 30 points underwater. Their lowest on record. These polls have records going all the way back since the early 1990s. The Democratic Party is breaking records in the way, Jessica Dean, you don't want to break records.
So what's the Democrats' fix? Well, workout videos, for one. After cringy dancing TikToks didn't work, Democrats are pumping out content of them pumping iron to try to win over voters.
I should be working right now. Instead, I'm pumping iron in the gym. I should be working right now.
Talk a little bit about this bill they passed.
All right.
right, so let's talk about housing. I grew up in a working class family here in the Hudson Valley.
But the man who once got a thrill up his leg over Obama says Democrats may not be able to stop Trump.
To be honest with you, the country is moving towards Trump. I mean, these polls that come out and show him not doing well, I don't buy that. I think his strength is still greater than the Democratic strength. He is a stronger public figure than the Democratic people. I mean, Obama still has tremendous charisma, but Trump has strength. But they wanted a president who's a strong figure, and he's got it, and he can. It's just there, and half the country buys it.
Interesting place to take a call.
I hope he flushed.
All right, we have to go to Kellyanne Conway first for your take on this poll. Have the Democrats hit rock bottom, or is there farther to fall?
They haven't. I don't think Trump has hit his ceiling, nowhere near it, and I don't think the Democrats have hit the floor because they haven't learned a single thing since last November. I actually think the greatest argument for term limits I've ever seen just happened. Eric Swalwell sweating, swimming, salivating with no shirt on. This is why we need term limits and better gerrymandering. I don't think the Democrats suffer from a message problem. They suffer from a message problem. They're bereft of ideas. I think that the Democrats have suffered, Dana, an erosion of trust with the American public, an implosion of their base. And remember all the people who would tell the Republican Party for years, you must move to the center, you must moderate, you must stop the right-wing people, this, that, and the other, you must get rid of your extremes. You know who was telling us that? The Democrats. And they went all the way to the hard left. And the answer, it turns out, was Donald Trump and his policies. This is a guy who's doing peace deals, tax deals, trade deals, like a single man getting the job done. And you know what we women love more than anything? Guys who deliver, who keep their promises, who produce, who do what they say they're going to do. The Democratic Party, to me, Dana, they lost the economic argument a long time ago, and this has become the Republican Party is the party of the worker. Then they kind of lost the argument on education. That poll showed they're only doing better over Republicans on vaccines and healthcare. Okay. But they really lost the argument on the cultural issues. So Donald Trump does a fabulous job, better than anybody, of capturing that cultural zeitgeist and letting the polls follow him, the people follow him, rather than the other way around, which is typical of politicians. But I can't believe the Democrats are basically still saying to America, a woman does not need a man, and a man can be a woman. And nobody has really changed that in a meaningful, sustained way since last year's walk-up. Corporate America they're all getting away from DEI. The academic institutions are coffering up billions of dollars. It's really just the Democratic Party. And I believe that what you're seeing now didn't work for Beto O'Rourke. He was on the cover of Vanity Fair. He said, I was built for this stuff. He's a 3-time loser. He was a congressman who unsuccessfully ran for president, governor, and senator, all from Texas. And he forced us to watch him get a root canal, flip a burger at home, and famously ride a skateboard. He got 0 electoral votes. The shtick doesn't work, and it certainly doesn't work for people, grown-ups who represent us in the Congress and the Senate, to be working out when their constituents are working, trying to meet the expenses for bills that that are already coming due.
He even says I should be working. But Mark Kelly, he had some thoughts, and I don't know if hope is a strategy, but Jessica, take a listen.
We certainly do have a problem, and it's a messaging problem, and it's important to get out there and talk to people about the issues that they care about. Hopefully in time, the American people will understand that we are out there fighting for them.
I just wasn't sure that was the best closing argument there. Hopefully in time they'll figure it out.
Yeah, listen, there is no way to spin this, and I've been spending several hours trying to figure out what I would do, and I'm just gonna own it. It's a very low unfavorability, and it's been low in several polls. And NBC had a very low one. Fox had slightly less low as the Wall Street Journal. But obviously it's an issue, and I was thinking about, when we've seen other record lows, and the Republicans got theirs after Mitt Romney lost in 2012. So in 2013, they were rudderless, out in the wilderness, doing enormous autopsies, didn't know what to do. They got a plan, and then Donald Trump came in and he blew up the plan. So who knows what happens in 2028? I have no idea who the candidate will be on the Democratic side. My expectation is that it'll be one of these very popular blue state governors, but maybe it's a Mark Cuban. We can't know at this point. We obviously have cute. We have to wait and see on that. What I do know at this moment is that we're trying to figure it out. I'm not condoning the Eric Swalwell videos, but people are trying to get more social media presence. They're trying to communicate with their constituents. Like even someone like Mark Warner, who's obviously on the older end, like he makes videos in his car because that's what he's comfortable doing. But at least he's trying to talk to his constituents and explain to them what's going on. We did get a bit of good news this morning with Roy Cupper announcing that he's going to run for the North Carolina Senate seat. That is exactly who Democrats wanted to do this. He has won statewide 6 times. When Donald Trump is on the ballot, he still wins. And I do think that it is suggestive of a potentially good environment for Democrats that people like Brian Kemp in Georgia, Sununu in New Hampshire have declined to run for those Senate seats.
Okay.
So that is my silver lining. That is what I came up with.
Let me point out one other thing. President Trump in this poll is significantly more popular now at this point in the term than he was in the first term. So the Democrats who try to tell themselves like everything's fine because he's actually declining in polls. With some numbers, maybe that's true, but overall, he's still much stronger than he was even in the first
Well,
term.
I'm going to rub the poll in Jessica's face in a second, but I got to talk about Swalwell. I'm glad he's lifting, and it looks like he's got a good shot at the poll, but you know who doesn't film themselves at the gym? Men. Women film themselves working out, taking gym selfies. That's who does it. The only people that do this are either professional athletes or fitness influencers, especially married men. If you're a married guy and you're posting bench press videos, oh God, is that thirsty. He's such a tryhard, and every real guy knows a tryhard, and he's one. Now, Matthews gets it. And Matthews, to make a terrible metaphor, he is saying Trump is strong because Trump lifts heavy. Trump is trying to lift the big things that no one else will pick up and grab. Trade, Iran, the border, government spending. So Trump is politically jacked. And that's what Swalwell doesn't understand. People respect you for doing things that are hard and lifting things that are heavy. Trump has real strength. Swalwell is trying to look strong, and that's the difference. Trump golfs. He has dad strength, though. You know dad strength? He doesn't look like he's in shape, but when he grabs you, one time my father grabbed me, and I was like, oh my God, this guy's stronger than I am.
Were you 8?
And I was like 18. And so this poll, Jessica, I'm glad, Greg likes to talk about context because you throw these poll numbers out. And this is the first time I was looking forward to doing a segment with polling because this is all the context you need. The American people think Republicans are doing a better job than Democrats at handling the economy, inflation, illegal immigration, foreign policy, tariffs, and the Ukraine war. Okay, let's continue. There's a 20-point jump in Americans saying the country is headed in the right direction than last summer when who was president? Joe Biden. The Republicans are viewed more favorably than Democrats by double digits. Americans like ICE more than Democrats. They like Elon Musk more than the Democrats. Americans like RFK Jr. more than the Democrats. And Trump has a 46% approval rating, which is more than Barack Hussein Obama and Joe Biden, their averages.
I'm not going to go through it, but take a look at the Fox News poll, and then you won't feel so hot.
How dare you?
How dare
I raised you the Wall Street Journal poll.
Well, we both are hometown,
Can
so
we
I
get
guess
some context.
But I was going to agree with you, Jessica, that this could just be a cyclical thing. You lose, you rebuild, you win. You lose, you rebuild, you win. But there's something off about this one. This is the first time in my memory that a party is this exposed. That we can actually see not what it didn't do, but what it did do. And what we learned about how they did it. Like, we see them naked. We see the party for what it is. So, a little history, Dana. Yes, please. I had this feeling when the wall came down, followed by the breakup of the USSR. That was also a duopoly. It was the Cold War, US, USSR. You thought it was going to be there for the rest of your life. Then something happened, the duopoly dissolved. I feel that same way right now. The duopoly is this party system, and I think the Democrats the party's over. When the wall fell, the human traffic only went in one way. West Germany didn't stream east. You are seeing that with the Democrat Party. There are segments of the party that realize they do not have to be there. The wall has come down. They are leaving. They're realizing that Democrats, like the USSR, was containment based on fear. It's a dictatorship that exists within a republic, a plantation that you thought you couldn't leave. So now you're seeing how the party doesn't work. You have $100 million that was meant for the Palisades fire going to liberal nonprofits, not the victims. You have teachers unions giving up on reading and writing and instead pushing racial indoctrination on children. Crime is considered acceptable in most inner cities. Illegal gangbangers are protected. The deranged homeless are allowed to walk free. Repeat offenders, recidivists, they get out of jail free. Theft is decriminalized. That is not a republic. That is a lawless dictatorship. That is like the Somali. What is that place called? Somalia?
Somalia? Yeah.
So what was the Berlin moment for me? It was Joe Biden when it all came down. A divided structure was erected to keep us apart, but it was revealed to be no longer functionable. And the exposure of that cover-up is that wall coming down. The Dems, while they're looking for a candidate right now, are really just looking for another wall. And until they see that, they cannot be trusted again. The Biden brain lie changed a lot of people's minds permanently, the same way communism did when the wall came down. We're not going back there.
You're saying Jessica could come over to West Germany if she wants to.
I think she has to. I would honestly say that if you're a thoughtful Democrat, you have to think about, is this a change that you can't go back to the way it is, because the wokeism has contaminated it so deeply that it doesn't exist anymore.
There's actually, I read about two former Democrats who are now deciding they were in Congress as Democrats. They lost. They now are going to run as independents. So